So, Della Maddalena versus Belal Muhammad is official, and I think the first thing you have to acknowledge when breaking down Amir's skill set is his defense. His defense is very unorthodox yet very effective. Essentially, what he does is he employs the exact same strategy that SpongeBob used against Flats the Flounder, which is literally just absorb punches, eat shots, and rely essentially 100% on durability. And of course, I bring this up every single time when discussing Amir Muhammad, and this is not hate. I'm not throwing any hate in his direction in the slightest, but it's just a fact of life. The reason why he is able to pull this off is because it's most likely, in my opinion, that there is pretty much zero doubt that he uses a lot of steroids. I mean, again, right, he has gone through puberty multiple times as an adult male. He is so ungodly jacked and huge. The team that he's been a part of for a very long time, Team Habib, has had, multiple steroid scandals themselves. Islam Makhachev tested positive for meldonium. But of course, right, he had a very, very good excuse that is very plausible, which is, no, it was a prescription medication that I forgot to report to USADA, which again, right, whenever I say that, people come after me and they're like, what are you talking about? No, it was prescription. I'm saying, yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, no, I get it. That's a great excuse. However, what is a little fishy about that is Islam's teammate, Usman Nurmagomedov, used literally the exact same excuse years later. All right, so I mean, it's a little fishy regardless, though, right? Belal Muhammad is 100%, in my opinion, on steroids, and it helps a lot, right? It's huge, right? I think he should be on steroids. Yeah, I personally love steroids, and I think, it's the reason why he's a champion, and I think, right, it's good. I think it's great, right? But he's going against arguably the best boxer in the UFC. And of course, right, Belal Muhammad's boxing is a pretty big part of his game. So the question is, right, how does this affect Belal's game plan? Is he going to be able to pressure somebody like Della Maddalena the same way he pressured Leon Edwards? I think it's an interesting question. Now, most people don't think JDM really stands a chance against Amir. And I understand why, because JDM's takedown defense is in question. And of course, I think there are two fights in particular that we should look at here. One is his fight against Basil Hafez, and two, his fight against Gilbert Burns. I think those are the two fights people point to where they say, I don't know about JDM against Belal. But of course, right, the fight against Hafez, I think what is very important to understand, basically, every single time that JDM ended up on the ground, it was pretty much because he kept jumping guillotine. The very first takedown was clean by Hafez. The fight starts, he immediately hits a blast double leg, gets his hands locked, and he puts JDM down. And even here, JDM grabs the guillotine after getting taken down, and Hafez jumps over to side control to defend it. But apart from that one singular sequence, JDM kept jumping guillotine over and over and over again, and that is how he ended up on the ground. Now, of course, Hafez is legitimately a really good grappler. His guillotine defense was actually amazing. However, again, right, when JDM was looking to defend the takedowns, he did a really good job. I mean, you look at this sequence right here, Hafez completely has his hands locked on the double leg, and JDM is able to stay up, run all the way back to the fence, and then get his lock up over his hips. And he defended the takedown here beautifully. And of course, when it was on the feet, JDM's boxing is so fucking beautiful. His body work, I think, is second to none. And what I respect so much about JDM's boxing is when you look at somebody like Ilia Topuria, because he has so much power, because he has so much torque in his shots, he's never developed like really high level long combinations. He just doesn't need to. But JDM, on the other hand, doesn't have that same kind of natural power. So he just has this ability to mix up the head shots and the body shots so seamlessly. It's beautiful to watch. But defensively, he isn't completely sound. I mean, in fact, he actually does get hit quite a bit, but his chin is ridiculous. I mean, look, Hafez is fucking huge. Hafez seemed to have a huge size advantage over JDM. And you look at some of these shots he was landing clean, that JDM was just eating and throwing back. It's honestly kind of crazy. Again, when you look at Amir's game, what he wants to do is constantly walk you down, get in your face and make you uncomfortable with his pressure and his durability. I mean, even if you land on him, he doesn't give a fuck. He's just going to try to stay in your face. And as soon as you start getting uncomfortable is where he really starts to look for the takedowns. Again, right, if JDM is eating these fucking shots from Bassil Hafez, he should, in theory, be fine against Amir, which in theory should be a great way to possibly negate Amir's pressure. Here is the problem, though. Amir's A-game is his wrestling. In particular, the way he shoots his double legs is so clean. He gets really low on it. He gets his hands locked, and it's a bitch to defend. And he can do it even completely on the back foot. I mean, you look at this sequence right here. He's fighting Vicente Luque, who Vicente Luque has the style to really negate Belal's pressure because, again, right, you need to be more dangerous than him in close. That is the key to stopping him from just getting in your face willy-nilly. So he's stuck on the back foot. He really doesn't have any space to operate here, and he still hit this fucking double leg. That is a problem. But again, right, against Hafez, when JDM tried, his takedown defense looked really good. But the Gilbert Burns fight, not so much. Now, again, there is some asterisks here, though, because JDM broke his arm really early in the fight. So that could, in theory, have played a factor. It is difficult to say, though, right? Because we don't know exactly where it broke, most likely blocking one of these kicks, which, I mean, can happen. Typically, when you block a kick, you want to block with the flat side of your arm. But if you turn it like this and you block with the bladed side, there is a high likelihood of it breaking. Now, look, here's the issue, though, right? He was still using his left arm throughout the entire fight. He was throwing punches with it while trying to defend takedowns, while grappling. He was using that arm that had broke. So again, right, you know, I would never try to sit here and argue that it's no big deal having a broken arm in a fight. But it's difficult to speak definitively on exactly where it played a factor. Because again, right, he was still using it in all of these sequences. And I mean, look, broken arm or not, he was getting beat to the hips on these double legs, man. And it's just like, it's a problem against Amir Muhammad, no matter how you want to spin it. And I think another problem is, though, Belal Muhammad has really good kicks himself. I mean, he used it against Gilbert Burns to a lot of success. Just kept slamming it over and over again. Wasn't even trying to sneak it in anywhere. He was just kicking Gilbert in the arms, and he really didn't like it. There was a lot of power here. And of course, JDM being so boxing heavy, if Amir can just stay on the outside, slam body kicks all day long, and just keep shooting every single time JDM tries to move forward, it's just kind of a problem. And again, like I said, broken arm or not, Gilbert was getting deep on these takedowns, and he was hitting it pretty consistently. Now, JDM is so skillful on the bottom. He has really good get-ups. I mean, this sequence right here was crazy to get back up. It's difficult, though, because, again, I mean, JDM is not known for having a tremendous amount of power. Even he's just not. Typically, you would argue it's probably unlikely that JDM finishes this fight apart from maybe landing a head kick, which he's very capable of. But most likely he's going to need to win a decision against somebody as big and as durable against Belal. If he cannot consistently stop these takedowns, that's going to be a problem, because where Belal is so good is the back takes. You're going to have to turtle to get back up. And even if he can't slide his hooks in and put the body triangle on, he does such a good job just riding you from the back, staying behind you. It's a very dominant style of grappling, and I think he is going to be bigger and stronger than JDM. I mean, this sequence right here just shows off Belal's strength. It is terrifying as somebody who could potentially be rooting for JDM here. You look back at this takedown defense from JDM, the reason why Hafez didn't hit this despite having his hands locked was because he did not change directions. He just ran JDM straight backwards. If you're going to finish this double leg, you have to be cutting an angle. That was the difference here when Belal hit this takedown on Vicente Luque. He cut the angle, turned him to the side, And that's what did it. I mean, look, I think Belal is going to be the best wrestler JDM has ever faced. I think on the feet, this fight is not close at all. I think that JDM, look, he is the definition of solid fundamentals. The way he throws leg kicks, the way he sets up his punches, or the way he mixes it up. I think he has very good head kicks as well. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see how Belal approaches this fight on the feet. But look, if I was Belal, I would just be looking to slam kicks into JDM's arms all day long. I would honestly be looking to limit my boxing against him, and then, of course, just try to make him run into double legs. I do think for those reasons, it is a very difficult fight for somebody like JDM here. Again, if he can stop the takedowns consistently, he's going to win this fight. I just think based on what we've seen, I can't be super confident that's going to happen. Again, his get-ups from the bottom is amazing, but when Belal is this high level at taking your back, slapping the body triangle on, he just needs to do that once a round for 3 rounds to probably win this fight. And again, right, apart from maybe landing a head kick, it's going to be difficult for JDM to knock Belal out. So in terms of early breakdowns, it's not that JDM isn't good enough. I mean, he absolutely is. But just style for style, I see a lot of places that Belal can take this fight, whether or not it's completely on the outside using his kicks, and as soon as JDM tries to step in and land, drop in for the double leg. Again, Belal's cardio is amazing. He's going to be able to push for all 5 rounds, and I just think, again, I want to make myself very clear here. It's not that JDM's not good enough. It's not that he's not skillful enough, but there's a lot of roadblocks he has to get through here against Belal Muhammad, and unfortunately, I think it's very likely he can't win this fight.